Okay, so it's about to come up, and I'm gonna mute everybody, and of course, please unmute if you have any questions, and can ask whatever questions you need. Okay, so what we're gonna do today, we're gonna talk about entering your trades. We're gonna talk about how to use the MetaTrader desktop app, and we're going to talk about how to use the mobile app as well. And that's at least using an iPhone. I don't have an Android to go over the example, but everything I go over is pretty much similar to what you would do. You would just simply have um, a couple of different steps based off of the phone that you're using. Um, and then I'm going to go over trailing stop again, what they are and how you can use them and how you can enter them. And then I'll discuss how you can take advantage of those, right? So, and I'll also go over a couple of any questions. It'll be open discussion. We usually do on these days. So, whatever questions you have, um, I like for everybody to use the raise hand feature so that way I kind of know who questions I answered already. Um, and to keep me from going in and out of the chat because you can kind of get lost in those using the chat. So, um, and if you have a question, I also prefer that you would turn on the mic and ask the question because sometimes just reading the question might not be interpreted the right way. So um, feel free to open your mic and turn the question and ask the question. So, okay. So let's start with simply entering a trade. Um, now, because most people are using their phone to enter the trades, what I'll do is I'll start there. I'll start with the phone. And that way you can see how it's done from the phone and then switching over to how do you do it from your how do you do it from your desktop. And just as a side note, everybody can see this, right? Everybody can see this, right? No problem. Drop a two in the chat if you can see this. The phone and the background. Dropping twos, dropping twos. Okay. And I'm gonna leave this in the Discord somewhere so that you can have the link to this. And if you ever have any issues, you can refer back to this because I'll have the link to it, right? So, so let's say for one, we are going to be trading GBP JPY, right? And the first thing you'll notice is A, on the phone, that's not a pair that's available, right? So that's one thing we notice, right? The second thing we notice is also on the desktop app, there is not available here as well, right? So the first thing we need to do is we need to make sure that we have the pair listed, right? So I am going to click on this plus sign on the mobile phone. Click on the plus sign, gives me the option to pull up the pairs that I want to add, right? So let's look for Forex crosses, and that's just what it's called here. It may be something different on your broker or your phone. And I am going to add GBP JPY, which is here, right? And I also, excuse me, I also want to add in some of the indices because that's something I like to trade. So, and I'm going to add in the indices. So I'm going to add in JER 30. I'm going to add in NAS 100. I'm going to add in SPX. I'm going to add in US 30, right? I also like to trade gold and silver. So I'm going to add in silver, which is XAG USD, and I'm going to add in gold. And then the last thing that I like to trade is oil. And let's find where oil is, right? In Hugo's way is under energy and is US oil WTI. So I have the pairs that I want, right? But now that I have the pairs I want, I don't want the rest of these things. And I also don't want these pairs that I like trading at the bottom. So I'm going to click on this pencil to edit these pairs, right? I'm going to take him off, put these off. I don't want any of those. And I'm going to delete. And then I'm going to arrange these by grabbing this guy over here and put them in the order that I want to. I like trading SPX and US 30 the most. So let me open it back up. Just gonna grab him, pull him up here. I'm gonna grab him and I'm gonna pull him at the top. I want you right here. I want gold, silver right here. I want gold right here. I want JER 30 right here. And then oil can stay where it is, right? Got my setup. I got this set up how I want. I can see all the indices. I see them all based off of how I like to see them. And now I have my setup how I want to, right? And if I'm looking at the same thing on the desktop, I'm taking the same approach. I want to take a trade on GJ. So I'm going in the looking for the crosses. There's GJ. I'm gonna set the properties so I can pull up the template that I want to use right here. And now I can take my trade, right? So now I'm ready to actually take a trade. And there's a couple ways I can do this. I won't go into order types, but I'll just talk about actually entering the trade, right? So we're gonna click on GJ. We can click on GJ initially, and it gives us the option to trade it from here. But in most cases, you want to see us take the trade from based off of what we're seeing on the chart, right? So we can go to the chart and say we want to enter the trade from here. You can just click on the trade button at the top left corner, and you'll get this option. You can also just hold you can double click into the screen and it'll give you this window as well, this trade option, right? So either one will get you back to this screen from your mobile phone, right? And the first option that you have available is a market execution, meaning put me in the trade immediately, coach. I don't care what the price is, it's doing what I want it to do. I want to get in the trade right now, right? And you'll notice that in this same screen, you have the option to put in your stop loss, and you have the option to put in your take profit from this screen right here, right? It's the same if you were to go through the same approach during using a different screen. The center is the lot size that you're going to be entering. So right now, the lot size that I'm going to be using is a 0.2. I can use this to +1 to break it down to, I can use this option to take a micro lot off or add a micro lot back or a mini lot by adding or taking off this one. So if I only want to use 0.1 instead, I'm going to use this option right here. But I want to use a 0.2 in this case. If you were to try to, if you didn't want to put in a market order and you wanted to put in a pending order, one that will trigger later on, you would click in the space that says market execution, and then you have your order types available. But we're just going to focus on, entering a market execution. So I'm going to buy from here, right? I'm going to go ahead and buy. I didn't put in a stop loss. I didn't put in a take profit, but I still end up buying it, right? You can see my lot size here where I entered the trade. And you can see it on the desktop over here where I entered the trade, right? So that, hang on, let me do not disturb this. Okay, so you can see I entered my trade. Now, if I am on the phone, right, and I come down to this trade option, I have the ability to pull up the trade information about the trade that I'm in, which is here. And I can double click on this or hold it. I can double click and get the options to see what my stop loss is, take profit, and what my commission rates will be, right? And that's based off of the lot size you use, right? So for this lot size, the commission is $1, right? I also, if I'm going to modify, if I want to add in my stop loss and my take profits, I can just hold this and modify this trade. And now I can put my stop loss and my take profits in right now, right? That's from the phone. That's from the phone. So we'll say that we want to put our stop loss underneath this low. And we want to target, let's say, this high, right? If I'm looking at this from the phone, right, I need to go to the chart here. And I can see that that low is right here. That high is right here, right? The other way I can do this is if I turn the phone sideways, which now you can see the entire chart, and I click in this open space right here. Okay, there we go. I click in this open space right here. This is the one-click trader option right here. Open it up. I can enter the trade right here. Just pop another trade. It's telling me that my disclaimer that if I use this tool, if I select this, I know that I am entering a trade immediately for a buy or a sell. I'm going to go ahead and accept. And now let's enter that second trade. So I got 2 trades in right now. And let's go back to the original view. You can see that I have both of the trades in here under the trade window. I'm down right now because the spread is pretty crazy. And if you want to see the spread, that's another thing you can do under the quotes. You can see right now, the spread for GBP JPY is 13.6. So 13.6 pips is the spread on this particular pair, which when it's time When the volatility is low, the spreads are higher. And once it's a lot of people trading, the spreads will tighten up, right? So that's why you see that the spreads are pretty high and they're even getting wider. So as things tighten up, the spread will come back around, right? So that's entering the trades here, right? Once I got the trades entered on the phone, I can come back, hold this down and click modify and put in the stop loss. I want my stop loss again to be around, let's say here, right around 136.098, right? That works. That's my stop loss. I want my take profit to be let's go for a bigger goal. Let's say 137.342, right? So now I got my stop loss and my take profit set, and I'll go ahead and click modify. So now you can see on the chart from my phone, here's my stop loss, here's my take profit, and you see it repeated here on the, the desktop app, my take profit and my stop loss here, right? For the next trade, I want to tighten that one up, right? I want to use this one to take whatever I think my TP1 is going to be. So let's say we think that our TP1 is going to be right around here, right? Which is, let's say right around here, right? And that's about 30 pips, right? So we're going to use this trade. I'm going to say our take profit is here. We're going to take the same approach, hold down, click modify, and we're going to put our take profit at 136.854. We're going to take our stop loss at 136.216. And then we're going to hit modify, right? So now I have my stop loss for this trade that's here. And then I have the stop loss for this trade that's here. I got to take profit here and a take profit here. Overall, I'm looking for this trade to go roughly about 80 pips, right? I think the trade could drop at most roughly around 45 pips. So basically 2 to 1. Two of these makes one of these, right? This bottom trade, the other trade, my first target, is pretty much 1 to 1, right? Where this box makes one of these boxes. So that's just 1 to 1, right? So at this point, I've entered my trade. You can take the same approach from the desktop app there's a couple ways you can do this on the desktop app. Now, if you're using the web app, that there's going to be similarities. I don't usually coach people or teach people to use the web app, but if you need to, it's pretty much the same. I don't know what the differences are, but I recommend if that's something you want to try out, you can take this video and you can basically take the same approach, but it may look a little different, right? Um, from the phone, the options after this that you have available are you can take a partial on this and you can adjust your stop losses and take profits manually, right? And that's pretty much the extent of what you can do from the phone once you're in it, the trade, right? So if we wanted to, let's say, take off a portion of this trade and take a partial, right? I believe that this is going to close. For some reason, I feel this is not going to do what I want to do, but I still believe that I should leave a piece of this trade in the market, right? So I'm going to leave in uh, only a quarter of this trade, right? So let's say I would like to do that, right? I'm going to take the first trade out. I'm going to hold, click and hold on the trade, and then I'm going to click close, right? But this is the moment where you want to pause because you decided at one point that you want to take off a piece of this trade, right? So in order to do that, before you hit the close again, you need to adjust the lot size, which is this number in the middle, right? And you can manually do it by just coming over here. I'm only going to leave in a quarter of it. So I'm going to take off 0.15 and I'm going to leave in a 0.05. So when I close this trade out, it's only going to close out this amount of the profit or this amount of the trade. In this case, I'll be taking a loss of what of $18.64 versus me taking a loss of $24.85. So I'm going to leave in the portion of the trade to see how it plays out. So we'll close this. We'll get the confirmation that you made this change to your trade. And now you can see that the lot size has been adjusted from a 0.20 to a 0.05. Okay. And outside of this, once you're in a trade, that is pretty much the extent of what you can do on the phone when you're actually in the trade, right? So this is similar. You can do the same things that you just saw here on Android, other type of phones. It's just certain steps will be different, right? So now we'll rotate over to the desktop and show the same information, but this time, let's say we want to take trades on one of the other pairs that I have. So let's go on the phone and see, like, all right, let's see. We want to take a trade on USD JPY this time, right? USD JPY, right? And USD JPY, it looks like a sell to us or a buy, doesn't matter at the moment. But let's just say we think it's going to sell, right? Um, we can right click in this window and we can pull up our trading drop down and click on new order, or we can use buy, sell, stop, sell limits if that's what we choose to do, right? That's one way to get to it, right? Second way to get to it is you can click this button for new order. You'll get this screen to enter in the trade from here, right? And if you use either of those options, whether you right click, enter new order here, it's going to bring you back to this screen. The default order type is going to be market execution. If you want to set in any of the pending orders, you'll need to use the drop down, come to pending orders, and put in your trade details where you'll put the limit price, expiration, stop loss, take profit, any comments you want to add, and then this is your lot size. The volume is your lot size. Another way to do this is right click again, one click trading. If you don't see that or have that as an option, you'll need to come here to tools, options. And from the options, you want to make sure you're inside of the trade tab. And let's see what it looks like when you don't have that selected. Go to tools, options, one click trading, same message that we got before from the phone. We'll need to accept the terms and conditions and click OK. Click OK again. And now when we right click and go click on one click trading, we have the option to put in our sells and buys here, and then we can put in our lot sizes from here, right? So this time I'm going to sell this, right? We're gonna sell from here. This automatically puts me in a trade. I enter immediately at whatever the price is at the given moment. Whatever the ask price is at the moment, that's where I'm selling it, right? Now, unlike the desktop, I mean the mobile phone, you have the means to put in your stop loss and take profits a couple more different ways, right? I can just double click on the trade, put my stop loss in right here, right here. I can use points to put them in right here, right here. I can use the arrow to get to them. That's one way. I can also open up the terminal, which is this icon, and it's going to show you all of the trades that I have open here. And I can come down to the order that I want to go into, double click that, and I'll get back to the same screen. That is, and then I'll have to, I can put the stop loss and take profits in from here. That's one way to do it. What I usually do is I take an even simpler approach. Know that my stop loss should be above this high because I am taking a sell, right? So my stop loss, if I lose this trade, I can just come and hover over this, take my mouse and drag my stop loss above where I believe is supposed to be my stop loss, right? So this is going to be where my stop loss is. And then let's take the same approach. I'm going to add my take profit. I want it to be down here. I know what this is. I don't care what the price is, right? I just know my target is somewhere around this area. My stop loss is above this high. I don't care what the price is per se. I just know that as long as it doesn't break above this high, I want to stay in the trade. And I'm going to look to target this low. Now, if you're more like stricter about yours and you want to actually enter it, you can double click it from the terminal window and then put in the numbers manually. Or you can right click your order and click modify, and it'll take you back to the same screen. However you prefer to do it is the preferred method for you in particular, right? And you'll have the ability to adjust these once you're inside of the trade by simply dragging them up and down, or like I said, right click the actual order, or coming into the terminal window and adjust it as well. Okay. So the other thing that you want to probably learn how to do is the trailing stops. And the trailing stops are questions that I get a lot. Um, and trailing stops can be used very, very um, advantageously because it helps you to remain in profit, right? Even if you take a small, even if you get stopped out before you were supposed to, you guys have to kind of think about trading a little different, you know. This kind of goes, you'll understand this more as you trade a little longer, right? Where, you want to focus on keeping capital and making sure that you're making gains more so than taking the big, huge wins, right? So sometimes if I get stopped out of a trade early, I'm okay with that, because that's not going to always be the case, right? But overall, I want to protect my capital more than anything, right? I want to keep,
Corey, I have a question before you go on to the trailing stop. So
okay.
where you use the mouse to hover over and move it up and down, move it up to this stop loss and down to the take profit. Is that
Mhm.
where you entered the trade?
No, where I entered the trade was here.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
where that's where you use the mouse to go to go up to the take profit, go down to the take profit and up to the stop loss.
that's correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, that's correct. And you just hover your mouse over it, you'll see the option to drag to modify. That's how you know that you have it. And if you don't, you need to come down. If you don't, let me make some. Okay. All right. So yeah. So once you have them set, you can still just come and move them however you want to. And of course, because I'm in the sell, my stop loss will be above, my take profit is below. And like over here, I'm in the buy. So my stop loss is below and my take profit is above, of course. And that's how you want to make sure. If I try to put my take profit right above my order in the sale, I'm gonna get a little noise, which I don't know why I didn't do it, but it's okay. I'll get I'll get a little noise or whatnot that this can't be done, right? Or if I was to try to move my stop loss right here before it was in profit, it's not gonna let me do it. Just like here, if I tried to move my stop loss above, it's not gonna let me. Same thing with the take profit. It's not gonna let me, right? So now, we decided, we don't have the means to kind of keep an eye on this, right? So we're gonna put in a trailing stop because we want this trade to move to break even once it gets around wherever we think our first target is going to be. So let's just say hypothetically that you got a TP1 right here, a TP2 right here, and then this is my TP3, right? But as soon as I get to TP1, I want to move this trade to break even, right? This will require you to understand how to measure your trade using this tool and using the tool on TradingView, because it helps you to understand how to do so, right? So there's three numbers. First of all, the tool I'm referring to is the crosshair, right? And if I wanted to know how far my order was from my stop loss, I would hover over this, click and drag right here. My stop loss is 23.7 pips, right? That's what 237 represents in the middle. That is the number of pips that your stop loss is. But because they count this in points, that's 234 points. Yeah, 234 points, which equals 23.4 pips. So you be dividing this number by 10 and consider every 10 points as 1 pip, right? And if this is going to be my TP1, right? I'm going to set my trailing stop to move into break even once I get 23.4 pips in profit, right? So if I want to do this, I'm going to hover over the order, right click it, use trailing stop, right? Or I can come to my terminal, right click on it, pull up my trailing stop here. Now, if I'm going to use a trailing stop, I have to remember, like just as I said before, on the brokers, they use points. We need to see these points converted to pips. So the default numbers, don't use those. Don't use any of these default numbers, because the default numbers range from 1.1, the default numbers range from 15 points to 50 points, right? And like we said before, every 10 points is 1 pip. So the default numbers range from 1.5 pips to 5 pips. So you want to come to custom anytime that you're using this tool. And because we want to use, let's say we want to use a 20 pip trailing stop. A 20 pip trailing stop will be 200 points. All right, so we're going to put in 200 here. We'll know that we have the trailing stop entered properly because our stop loss will highlight yellow. And that's how we'll know that this is highlighted yellow, by this being highlighted yellow. And what's going to happen is once this trade goes into profit, the 20 pips that we said, which is right around here, this stop loss is going to automatically drop down to break even. And if the trade was to reverse and go in the opposite direction at any point after it reached 20 pips, it's gonna stop you out of the trade at break even automatically. You won't have to worry about it pushing all the way back up here and taking a bigger loss when you could have been taking this small loss, right? Now, because we're using 20 pips trailing stop, every point after that it drops down, let's say it came down to here. Let's measure that. This is 24.5. This is 25.4 pips in profit at this point. So our trade is moved down 25.4 pips. That means that this stop loss would be 5.4 pips in profit once price got to this point, because we were using a 20 pip trailing stop. It went 20 pips. It pulled us to break even. And every pip after that it moves, that price moves, is going to pull you an additional pip in profit after that. And it's going to keep pulling you in profit until you either hit your take profit or you hit the trailing stop, right? And your trailing stop is going to keep moving as long as price is moving deeper into profit. Once price stops moving in profit in your direction, your trailing stop is no longer going to move. So if you were to enter this trade and it went 20 pips in profit, it went 25 pips in profit, your stop loss is going to be 5 pips in profit right here. And if this doesn't go down any further and it decides to reverse, it's going to take you out at these 5 pips in profit for a small gain. If it continues to drop down, let's say it dropped down here, which is 39.4, let's say 39.4, your trailing stop is going to be 19.4 pips in profit, which is right around here somewhere, because we've gone the 20 pips and then we've gone an additional 19 pips to get to where we currently are here. So your trade would be 19.4 pips in profit. And if price reverses from here, it's going to take you out at this level versus break even, or back here with a heavier loss, which is the reason for using the trailing stop, is to protect your profits and to protect your account. And if this does not come back, you're going to come down to the order to take you out of the trade in profit. And then you close the trade out automatically in profit. And you get to exit the trade hitting your take profit. If that never happens, you get close to it, but it never happens, and it decides that it wants to reverse, right? And it gets near this, but then it reverses, the trade is going to be taken out here where the stop loss stop moving, right? However, even though the trade reversed, instead of you being at break even or for this loss, you captured at this point 30 pips in profit. Got it? Cool. Okay. All right.
Corey,
Okay.
how do I get that little chart at the bottom with the sell stop and all that? I'm
Terminal.
sorry, I've been trying for a minute.
This icon right here, the terminal icon right here. Terminal right here. and just make sure you're in the trade tab right here. So, Natalie asks, what is the meaning of margin level, right? So when you have an account, we all use what's called margin, right? That's basically the allowed amount that our broker is allowing us to trade or be down, right? And your broker is going to take that amount of margin and multiply that by the account size. And that gives you the total amount of margin that's available, right? And the level of margin that you have is based off of a certain percentage that you get up or down, right? And the more positive we are on our trade, the less of our margin that we're using, right? And we also gain margin because now we have that margin to be added to our account. If we're down a certain amount, your margin is decreased and you're only allowed a certain amount of margin to be down on your account. And if you go past that certain margin level, you will get a what's called a margin call. That's when the broker automatically takes you out of the trade because you've exceeded the amount that is available, the amount of margin that's available for you to trade with, right? Right now, our margin levels at 20, it's huge number, I'll hit you with the jump, a huge, huge number. So you're nowhere near the margin level on this account, right? The free margin that I have available, which is the amount of lots total based on the profit that I have in my account available to trade. So this is the amount that I have in this demo account to trade with, right? But because I have these 3 trades open, I will only be able to trade with the free margin amount, right? And then this is my balance prior to me entering the trade. My equity is the amount that I'm up or down based off of these trades, right? And the percentage of your margin levels and your free margin is going to be dependent upon your broker. And that level is determined by the leverage on your account, right? So if I have Hugo's Way, they allow you to use a maximum leverage of 500 to 1. If I have Cot Forex, it's also 500 to 1. I think of brokers going up to 800 to 1. But if you have like FX Choice, it's 200 to 1, right? All good numbers. I would say don't go with the broker that won't allow less than at least 200 to 1. Anything less than that will require you to have more money, because essentially what you're saying is that whatever this balance is on my account, if I multiply that by the leverage, that's how much that the broker is allowing me to trade with. So in this case, this account has $19,427.88. My leverage is 500. So 500 times the amount in my account. This is how much I'm actually trading my account with: $9,713,940. I'm trading an account that is trading at the equivalent of this amount, right? And that's how you take advantage of the market, because you're not actually trading with the amount that you have in the balance. You're trading the amount plus the margin that you have available to trade with, the leverage that you have that's available to trade with. So I'm using a $19,000 account to trade as if I had a $9.7 million account, right? If this was in FX Choice, if this was FX Choice, I'd be trading as if I had $3.8 million account. And for you guys that have the smaller accounts, let's say I had a 100, let's throw a random number, $157.89, and I am trading with Hugo's Way. That means that I will be trading with an account that's equivalent to $78,945. Let me divide that by 500. If I'm in FX Choice, I'd be trading as if I had $31,578 account, right? And don't think that, oh, I automatically want to have a Hugo Way account because they let me trade with 500 to 1. FX Choice only let me trade to 200 to 1. Anything that you need to do with a 500 to 1 with proper risk management, you should be able to do it with 200 to 1 as well, because you shouldn't be over leveraging, because the higher your leverage is, the larger lot sizes you can put in. But that also means that the larger lot sizes mean that you can actually lose more as well. So it's a double-edged sword. It's giving you the power to do more, but you also have to understand that the constraints that you need to put on yourself in order to still trade using proper risk management. Is there also a buffer for the broker? You can say that as well. Yep, you can say that as well, because the brokers are gonna let you stay in the trade as long as you can stay in the trade, right? But after you reach a certain point, if you don't close the trade out automatically, their broker is going to say, okay, cool, you've over leveraged your account, you've gone past the margin, and you can't enter in any more trades, and we're going to close you out of this trade. So sometimes, I know you've heard it with the small accounts, you try to put in a trade that was, if you put in the trade, it's going to make your free margin negative. And if your free margin is negative, you're going to get that little annoying sound, whatever it is. Like, I don't know how to recreate that sound, but you know how unruly that sound is and how depressed you feel when you get that sound, because I know I did, and I felt like that because I was over leveraging and I'd already blown my account pretty much, and I was trying to fight and get it back, right? Those are some moments we all gonna go through. But that little notification, that little sound is telling you that you can't put in any more trades because you don't have enough margin available in your account to take that trade. That's what it's actually saying you might have the money in your account to take the trade, but you may need to lower your lot size or wait until you close out the trades that you're already in to free up your free margin, to free up some of your margin so that you can enter the trade again or enter a new trade with a smaller or equivalent lot size to what you were expecting to enter your trade with. Okay,
Mhm.
that's where all that comes into play. Hey, Miss Tate.
Hey, Corey. I have a question.
Okay.
And it's not about this, it's about the MetaTrader. I saw you do something a few minutes ago that I didn't know you could do. Is take some of those, I have a whole list. Take all those lists, some of the ones that I don't trade, that I'm not going to trade.
Mhm.
How did you take those off?
If you
How did
just
you
hover,
eliminate the ones that you didn't want?
yeah, all across the bottom right here, right?
Huh? No,
Like
I
you,
mean on the MetaTrader. I don't know how to use this.
oh, on the
This
app.
yeah, on the
Let me,
app on my phone, because I never use this. I use the one on my phone all the time.
okay, so, okay, so
Yeah.
you want to add some, you're going to use the plus, right?
Okay. I know how to add,
Okay.
but I don't know how to
If
take
you
them
want
off.
to take them off, that's where this little
Oh,
pencil icon is.
okay.
Like you can take them off and you can rearrange the order of these, right? So if I want to take one of these off, let's take off jerk 30. I'm gonna highlight it. I'm gonna come over here on the pencil, click that. I'm gonna go to jerk 30, and then I'm gonna click on this little bucket over here and just delete it. And
Oh,
then once
okay.
I delete it, I could click on the pencil again, and then it'll return me back to the screen. And
Oh,
if I want to rearrange this, I'm going to click on the pencil again,
uh-huh.
and then click on this little stack over here,
Uh-huh.
and then hold it, and then it should highlight like this, and I'll be able to drag it and move it up and down.
Okay. Okay.
And once it's wherever I want it to be, I'll click the
Uh-huh.
pencil again, and then it'll
Okay.
lock it
Go lock it
from
back
here.
in.
Yep,
Okay. Okay, great. Thank you.
no
I was
problem.
like, oh, I know you could do that.
Yep, yep, yep. And let
Okay.
me add GJ back. So it's on FX cross. GBP. Where you at? It's not very exotic. Where you at, dude?
You can put Jet 30.
Oh, I took jerk 30 off. Oh, yeah, that's right.
Uh-huh.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, that's what you took off.
Okay, so there we go.
Okay.
And
Okay.
let me see. So for you guys that I talked to that's on this call now, I'm gonna split this into smaller sizes. And I'm going to also post this in the Discord. So that way you can watch this and have it to reference on how to enter your trades and how to input stop losses and how to do everything that we just did on there, right? And
Mhm.
you know, for you guys that are using your phones, you know, that's great, but I want you to migrate over to the desktop app.
Good.
It's tape.
Okay.
You know, whenever you can, if you can, because once you see how much easier it is than using it on the phone, you'll probably be mad because you've been using the phone all this time. Right.
Oh, okay. Okay.
That's another story. That's another story.
Okay.
So now I'm kind of going over everything that I want to go over. Let me close out the